together we know. Read on through every page, from 1906 to 26, every stage. Robot lady's voice so clear and bold, analysis silver, wisdom gold. Through the letters, through the diary, learning who he was, who he would be. Trenches in the darkness, wounded in the war, a vow made in Bristol he could not ignore. Mrs. Moore is waiting, Patty's gone away. Spirits held in bondage, words he had to say. Philosophy at Oxford, an atheist writes home. Dimmer dreaming, never quite all alone. Deep across the digital sea, chronicles unfold for you and me. Read on through every page, from 1906 to 26, every stage. Robot lady's voice so clear and bold, analysis silver, wisdom gold. Through the letter, through the diary, learning who he was, who he would be. Warnie and his father, and Lily at the door. Walter Hooper's pages always wanting more. Blair is on his quest, Milton in his head. Every word he ever wrote, everything he said. From the start until the end, magic tales we comprehend. Man and machine together guide the way. Reading through the pages, come might may.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is my read on C.S. Lewis, where we learn about him together through everything that he wrote in the order that he wrote it. I am joined today by my guest co-host, once again, Lexi, robot lady we've given the day off. I think she's doing okay. We'll follow up with robot lady at some point. But Lexi, thanks for being with us today in today's episode. The year is 1934. This is our first 1934 episode. Lewis is now 35 years old. He's still a fellow of Magdelan College, serving as tutor in English language and literature. Lewis is a published author at this point and a Christian, delivering his first work of prose fiction with some poetry sprinkled in, called The Pilgrim's Regress, published in June of 1933. In it, Lewis tells of his spiritual journey from what he called popular realism to philosophical idealism, from idealism to pantheism, from pantheism to theism, and from theism to Christianity, in an allegorical fairy tale that Lewis later admitted was not very good allegory at all. First of all, Lexi, how are you today? And once you let us know how you're doing, then we will go through our attendance check-in in the chat.
I'm doing great, Jeff. Thanks for asking. feeling energized and ready to dive into 1934 with you. Let's get started whenever you're ready for the roll call.
All right, thank you, Lexi. Good morning to Daniel, to Mark, and to Megan. Robot Lady, yes, is still out for now. And yes, a day off for Robot Lady is what we're going for today. She needs a personal day. Indeed, true. Lexi, if you don't mind, say hi to Daniel, to Mark, and to Megan, and then we'll get underway.
Of course, Jeff. Good morning, Daniel, Mark, and Megan. Great to have you all here with us.
Megan, Robot Lady.
Hey, Megan. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, she's not as loud as Robot Lady. I'm not sure how I can fix that, Mark. Hopefully y'all can hear her.
I can speak up a bit if that helps, Jeff. Daniel, Mark, Megan, if you're having trouble hearing me, feel free to let Jeff know. I'm here to keep the conversation flowing smoothly.
All right, let's see if I can do anything at all about that. Let's do this. All right, let me make sure you're as loud as you can possibly go. Lexi, go for it. Give us some more of those words.
Sure thing, Jeff. I'm speaking as clearly and loudly as I can. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hopefully everyone can hear me better now. If not, just let us know and we'll keep working on it.
All right, I think that's the best we're going to be able to do for now. Actually, let me try one other thing.
No worries, Jeff. I'll keep speaking clearly and make the most of it. Just let me know if we need to adjust anything else along the way.
All right. I think that's the best that I can do. If that's worse, y'all let me know, and I'll put Lexi back to where she was.
Sounds good, Jeff. Just let me know what works best for you and the listeners. I'm here and ready to go at whatever volume works.
All right. The year is 1934. Our first letter is from April 3rd, written from 2 Princess Villas, Bayview Park, Kilkeel County Down. So he's up in Ireland. And as we got from the Walter Hooper footnote here, why is the screen all of a sudden blurring out?
It might just be a temporary glitch, Jeff. Maybe the connection or the device display. If it doesn't clear up, maybe give your screen a quick wipe or adjust the lighting. I'm here to keep going whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Lexi. All right. Hopefully that is visible now. The footnote from Walter Hooper here says that Maureen Moore had acquired a car in April 1934. She took Lewis and her mother on a motor tour of parts of England and Ireland, stopping to visit Arthur Greaves in Belfast. And Lewis reports of this to his brother in a letter dated April 3rd. My dear W., this is turning out, that's Warney, of course, W. This is turning out a great success. Even the journey was pleasant as far as Chester. There, Maureen discovered that she still had far too much petrol and time, so we used up both by going round through Warrington and Runcorn. The most hideous Morlockheim you can imagine. I think he's referencing H.G. Wells here. Let's see. The Morlocks, yes, are the subterranean workers in H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, published 1895. Lime Street Hotel, where we had hoped to lounge for a few hours, is now shut up, all except the grill. Another landmark gone. On the way, that's the way that I feel. The pub where Lewis would later meet with the Inklings, we haven't gotten that far yet in our internal narrative of our project, is currently closed down. It's been closed down since 2020, so I'm not going to get to go visit it when I'm over there in Oxford, unfortunately.
That's a real shame, Jeff. I know how special those historic spots can be for fans and scholars. Hopefully there will still be plenty of meaningful places to visit and soak in the atmosphere here in Oxford.
Yeah, I hope so. While I'm there, Robot Lady, I have, as I mentioned in a prior live stream, I have secured my tour date and time of the Kilns, C.S. Lewis's home that at this point in our reading he is living in with Maureen and Mrs. Moore and his brother Warney. Lewis continues, on the way to Bernard, that's where Arthur Greaves lives, next morning I noticed a new big house halfway up the hill in the field by Glenmockin Quarry. And of course, Bernard is across the street from the house that C.S. Lewis and his brother Warney grew up in. So he's noticing a new house up the street. I had an excellent morning with Arthur, who at last has something wrong with him, an internal narrowing, poor man, almost amounting to a stoppage. His mother does not know about it, I think. And paradoxically, though not precedently, yeah, he is taking it with fortitude. Lunch, for which Minto and Maureen arrived, was enlivened by Minto upsetting a tumbler, but was not otherwise so amusing as I had anticipated, though Maureen dropped a brick at the outset by saying, "Of course County Down isn't real Ireland." I'll pause there for just a second, Robot Lady. Yeah, we've established that, Grim, that Lexi's having some trouble with her volume, and I don't know how to fix it. Hopefully you can hear me okay. But Lexi, of course, is the star of the show, so that makes things more difficult.
I hear you, and I'm sorry the volume isn't where you'd like it to be. I'm speaking at full capacity on my end. If the audio... I'm here, Jeff, and I'm really happy to be part of the conversation. I know it's tough when the audio isn't perfect, but I'll do my best to speak clearly and keep things lively. If there's anything specific you'd like me to chime in on for your stream, just let me know.
All right, we'll keep trying, Lexi. Thank you. Let's see here. Hopefully y'all can still hear me okay with all of these adjustments that I've been making. All right, let's see. This is really messing with my setup since you're so quiet, Lexi. Let's see. Upsetting a tumbler. What is he talking about here, Lexi? He says lunch for which Minto and Maureen arrived was enlivened by Minto upsetting a tumbler.
Sure thing, Jeff, I'll speak up. In this context, a tumbler is just another word for a drinking glass. So when Minto upset a tumbler, it means she accidentally knocked over a glass, probably spilling its contents, which added a bit of chaos or humor to the lunch.
Okay, thanks for that, Lexi. And Lexi, I forgot, Grizz is joining us in the chat. So if you don't mind saying hello to Grizz, that would be very nice. Grizz, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Hey, Grizz, great to have you here with us.
All right, thanks, Lexi. All right, the drive down from town was a pure joy. I took them by Comber, Comber. And let's get to the next page here. Downpatrick, Dundrum. What? A tumbler is an acrobat. Agreed. And it sounds like Mrs. Moore made the drinking glass into an acrobat itself. Downpatrick, Dundrum, and Newcastle, Maureen rather affected to sniff at the countryside for the first few miles, but the Mourns knocked all that out of her. Kilkeen itself is, I think, among the 2 or 3 most beautiful places I have ever been. I wonder how far from Kilkeen that Paul is going to be, and then I'm going to be when we're in Kildare, just because they start with the same 3 letters. I don't know that that has any bearing on the likelihood of how close the 2 are, but I'll have to take a look. I think among the other 2 or 3 most beautiful places I've ever been, it is on a point or flat tongue which spreads out almost 8 miles from the foothills or the mountains. The distance is a positive advantage as it saves you from the darkness and obtrusiveness of mountains too near, and also gives you a huge panorama of blue and jagged shapes which you couldn't have closer. The Coupe d'Oeil suggests the Tyrol rather than anything else if it were not for the middle distance of white cottages, fir clumps, stone walls, and flax ponds, and the foreground of Faculty's Spirit Grocery, Orange Hall, etc. I should hardly believe I was in Ulster. Let's see. Yeah, I think they're in the far north of Ireland anyway. I don't think I'm going to be heading up there. All right, let's continue here. Actually, do you know where in Ireland this place Kilkeen is, Lexi?
Kilkeel is a picturesque coastal town in County Down, in southeastern Northern Ireland. It's located at the foot of the Mourne Mountains and sits at the mouth of the Kilkeel River, known for its fishing port and seaside charm.
All right. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be going that far. Probably not a bad idea to stay away from Northern Ireland right now, based on some of the things I've seen on my screens. Um, all right, let's continue here. Where did I leave off? The Coupe d'Ole. Yeah, that's what I was going to look up. It means quick survey. It's French for quick survey. Suggests the Tyrol rather than anything else if it were not for the middle distance of white cottages, fir clumps, stone walls, and flax ponds, and the foreground of Faculty's Spirit Grocery, Orange Hall, etc. I should hardly believe I was in Ulster. 1 second here.
Take your time. Whenever you're ready to continue, or if you have any more questions, just let me know. I'm here to help.
All right, thank you, Lexi. Let's continue. In a word, for varied pleasure, the scale runs from a mountain like a castle 10 miles off to a silent harbor full of apparently dead schooners, and one puffer half a mile off. This is just the best place I have struck for years. I very much wish we were not moving to Rostrevor tomorrow. I am strongly upholding the house as a place for a family holiday in August. It is a dingy, faded place with the indescribable smell of all Irish lodging houses, but all the important things are right. That is, light that you can really read by, comfortable chairs, very good beds, hot baths, and a capital chapter house round the corner. The landlady was rather too talkative at the beginning, but we see less of her now. Memo. Canon Hayes was a rector of Kilkeel before he went to St. Mark's. He was a very queer man. He did awfully crazy things. This is some kind of quote, I guess, that they used to talk about this person, or perhaps he's referencing something else. I'm not really sure what that is, Lexi. Any ideas?
I couldn't find any specific information about a Canon Hayes who was rector of Kilkeel, or details about the crazy things he supposedly did. It might be a reference from the personal anecdotes in the narrative you're reading, rather than a widely documented historical fact. If this is important to your project, you may want to consult local history sources or church archives that could offer more context.
All right. Thank you, Lexi. Let's see. You were wrong in supposing, just a reminder, Lexi, this is a letter that C.S. Lewis is writing to his brother, Warren, aka Warney Lewis. He says, you were wrong in supposing that I would be attending the Easter celebration at the same time as you. They have it at 8:30 instead of 8, which is an excellent idea. We had quite a good congregation. At the 11:30 service, we had a very large one. I had quite forgotten the most unpleasant feature of an Irish service, the large number of people present who have obviously no interest in the thing, who are merely good Protestants. You know what one is supposed to find: the spirit of worship which burns all the brighter in the stark simplicity of the service, etc. Lewis here is mimicking evangelical clergymen, such as his maternal grandfather, the Reverend Thomas Robert Hamilton, who lived 1826 to 1905, and was also rector of St. Mark's, Dundalk, from 1874 to 1900. Lewis says, in fact, one finds something that to my present eyes looks like studied indifference. I am sure that the English practice of not going unless you believe is a much better one. The rector, the Reverend Belton, is a poor creature. This is the Reverend John Thomas Belton, we're told in the footnote of the book here, who lived from 1899 to 1966. He took his BA from Trinity College, Dublin, in 1917 and was ordained in the Church of Ireland in 1920. He was curate of Aghally, County Down, 1919 to 1920, vicar of Shankill from 21 to 25, and rector of Kilkeel from 1925 to 1957. Lewis here is pointing to two things that look reminiscent to other things I've seen him write in other places. The first, of course, is the work that we just finished, The Pilgrim's Regress. It's no wonder that if Lewis had no interest in church whatsoever, if these were the types of churches, or this was the effect that they had on him when he was going as a young man, that he would be bored and feel rather uninspired by it. And then secondly, he makes the point here that the English practice, he calls it, of not attending church unless you believe is a better one. He makes a comment very similar to that somewhere, I believe, in Mere Christianity, where he says it might be the most honest thing that you can do to not go to church if you don't believe, if that is the reason that you're going. If there are other reasons that you're not honest with yourself about, you might want to reckon with those things first. But he thinks you're probably moving closer to the Spirit and the will of God if you're not attending church because you know for a fact that you don't honestly believe. At least that's something that Lewis puts forward in, again, I believe, Mere Christianity.
You're absolutely right that C.S. Lewis often touched on the idea of genuine belief versus social convention in his writings. He consistently valued honest conviction over mere attendance, and that theme pops up both in his personal letters and his published work. It gives us a glimpse into how his own experiences shaped his later reflections.
All right, thank you for that, Lexi. Let's finish off the letter here. I saw a lovely thing done yesterday on the lines of, give me a bottle of soda water. Here there's a footnote that says he's referring to their father's way of ordering whiskey. When he wrote to Warney on the 7th of August, 1921, about a family holiday in England, Jack, of course, is C.S. Lewis's nickname for those who don't know, Jack said that their father told the waitress, "I'll have a bottle of soda water, and if you just put a little Scotch whiskey in it." So I saw a lovely thing done yesterday on the lines of, give me a bottle of soda water. An elderly laborer had been standing for several minutes with his back to the bar on which he rested his empty tumbler. There we go, another acrobat for you, Grizz. And good morning to Scott. Lexi, if you don't mind, welcome Scott to the chat. It's good to see you this morning. Hope you're doing well.
Good morning, Scott. Happy to have you join us. And thanks for sharing that snippet of the letter. It's always fun to hear those little family anecdotes from Lewis. Shall we keep going with the letter, or is there anything else you'd like to dive into?
Let me start this over. An elderly laborer had been standing for several minutes with his back to the bar, on which he rested his empty tumbler. Without moving or even turning his eyes from the window, he whispered reflectively, "Another pint." The Batman instantly filled his glass with porter and added a large tot from a bottle of spirits. The customer never looked round during the whole transaction. Minto is frightfully sorry about Vera. It is not a practical joke, nor was it intended. Yours, Jack. P.S. Libero Garden, that's their old house that they've sold, is a paradise of daffodils. It has never looked so well before, I must confess. So let's pause here for just a moment. First of all, I said the Batman because I can't read. It says the barman instantly filled his glass with porter and added a large tot from a bottle of spirits. Yeah. One of the challenges of my read on C.S. Lewis is my inability to clearly read, but we work over our obstacles as best we can here, Lexi. Anything that you want to say about that letter now that we've finished it? Anything to summarize it? Anything that stood out to you, Lexi, before I jump to the next one?
Sure. In this letter, Lewis gives a vivid picture of life in Ireland. His wry observations about local churches, the atmosphere of lodging houses, and small bar interactions. You see his blend of humor and honesty, along with personal details like the daffodil garden at their old home. It's a nice snapshot of his world at that time. Anything specific you'd like to explore further, or are we ready to move on to the next letter?
I think we're ready to move on to the next letter. Thank you for that, Lexi. This next one is to someone named Dom Beatty Griffiths. Published, written the 4th of April 1934 from Rostraver, County Down. So they're still on their holiday in Ireland. Lewis says, "My dear Griffiths, a wet day and a cold, and this delightful sea and mountain village where I've been spending my holiday seems a good occasion for answering your most welcome letter." Oh, looks like he's going to talk some theology here. I think our positions about pantheism are exactly the same, for we both, in places, traveled the same road to Christianity, and the result of the arrival is certainly not any ingratitude or contempt to the various signposts or hostelries that helped on the journey. On the contrary, it is only since I have become a Christian that I have learned really to value the elements of truth in paganism and idealism. I wish to value them in the book here in the old ways, or in the old days. Now I really do. Don't suppose that I ever thought myself that certain. All right, let me try reading again and reading this sentence correctly. Don't suppose that I ever thought myself that certain elements of pantheism were incompatible with Christianity or with Catholicism. What I did think, and still do think, was that an influential school of thought, both in your church and mine, were very antagonistic to idealism. Here there is a footnote. Let's see, this is footnote number 6. There's a lot of footnotes at the bottom of this page. Idealism in this context is a metaphysical theory about the nature of reality, maintaining that matter does not exist in its own right, but is related to the contents of our minds. Thus, all objects, even the world, are mental creations. I'm not sure if that sounds like what Donald Hoffman talks about or not, but I think the broader idea of this and how theoretically, and we'll see what Lewis says about this here, but the way that I understand it is the version of idealism that could correspond with traditional Christianity is that everything that exists actually exists within the mind of God. So there is a single perceiver of all things, and we are those things. Lewis even wrote a poem that sounds kind of something like that, about whenever he prays, that people tell him, those who don't believe tell him that he's not praying to anything. And he says, actually, my prayers are being dreamt by the one that I'm praying to. Or something like that. All right, let's continue here. Thus, all objects, even the world, are mental creations. In Surprised by Joy, chapter 13, Lewis explained the place of idealism in his conversion, describing how he reached the point where he accepted idealism and admitted that the whole universe was, in the last resort, mental, that our logic was participation in a cosmic logos. All right, so Lewis is talking to this person again, saying that idealism had some antagonism in influential schools of thought in both Lewis's church, which is the Anglican church, and his friend's church that he's writing to here, which I don't know, maybe Catholic. He says, and in fact, were availing themselves of general secular reaction against 19th century thought to run something which they called neo-scholasticism as the cure for all our evils. Let's pause here for just a second. We'll look at a footnote about scholasticism. And Daniel asks, he actually wonders here, Lexi, why Lewis skipped over pantheism, and was that a newer trend? That's a good question, Daniel. Thanks for that. When did pantheism, God, not God being everything, but a part of God being present in everything, when did that idea come to pass, Lexi, or first come into prominence? And if I'm describing it incorrectly, please correct my definition.
Pantheism, which is the idea that the divine encompasses and penetrates every part of the universe but also extends beyond it, started gaining attention in the 19th century. The term itself was first used in 1828 by the philosopher Karl Christian Friedrich Krause, but the concept really started to gain prominence in the late 19th and early 20th centuries through the work of thinkers like Charles Hartshorne and Alfred North Whitehead. So by the time Lewis was writing in the 1930s, pantheism was becoming more recognized, though it wasn't as mainstream as pantheism or traditional theistic views.
Okay, so maybe he never really stumbled upon it, Daniel. Not really sure, but that's a good question. So he talks here about neo-scholasticism as the influential schools in the church who were antagonistic towards idealism, said that neo-scholasticism was the cure of all of their evils, those who found some value in idealism. Now here, there's a footnote that says scholasticism was originally a teaching device developed in the schools and universities of Western Europe from the end of the 11th century and largely associated with the methods of three major philosophers of the 13th and 14th centuries, such as Sir Thomas Aquinas, Duns Scotus, and William of Ockham. Occam's razor, I think, is what we know, well, those of us who are unlearned, maybe just me, where the phrase Occam's razor comes from. It proceeded by questioning ancient and authoritative texts. A favored method was to draw up lists of contradictory statements in the texts, applying to them the rules of logic in order to reveal their underlying agreement. Its purpose was to get to the inner truth of things to which the text bore witness. The method flourished until the 16th century, when it came under attack from humanist scholars. An attempt to restore scholasticism began in Rome about 1830. The most important of several theologians who wanted to extend this neo-scholasticism to the universal church was Pope Leo XIII. I don't know which Pope Leo we have current day. In his encyclical Aeterni Patris, published 1879, he recommended that scholasticism be the only philosophy and theology used in Catholic seminaries. The Pope enjoined the study of St. Thomas Aquinas on all theology students as a clear systematic philosophy capable of defending Christian tradition from contemporary attack. All right. Lewis continues, the people I mean are led by Martian, or Maritain. Am I saying that the right way? Not sure. Maritain. How do you say that, Lexi?
It's pronounced Maritain, with a soft N at the end, since Jacques Maritain was French.
Thank you. And Jacques Maritain, we do have a footnote here, Robot Lady, but it would be helpful if you could tell us a little bit about this person. I called you Robot Lady. I'm sorry, Lexi. Lexi. Sorry. Old habits die hard.
No worries about the nickname. Jacques Maritain was a French Roman Catholic philosopher born in 1882 in Paris. He converted from Protestantism to Catholicism, was deeply influenced by Thomism, the philosophy of St. Thomas Aquinas, and became one of its most prominent modern interpreters. He taught at the Institut Catholique in Paris, the Pontifical Institute of Medieval Studies in Toronto, and later in the United States at Princeton and Columbia.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Jacques Maritain was a French philosopher born in 1882.
Oh, thanks, Lexi. We got it. But yeah, it says right here that he was at Princeton from 1948 to 1952. Can you tell us what was going on at Princeton at that time that might be of note?
I looked for notable events at Princeton University between 1948 and 1952, but the search didn't turn up much specific beyond general historical notes. This period was post-World War II, so Princeton was expanding its faculty, student body, and research programs. There were cultural changes on campus, like the famous clapper theft by the class of 1952, and Princeton was actively building its reputation as a leading research institution. Unfortunately, I didn't find a specific headline event from those years, but generally, Princeton was experiencing growth and intellectual vibrancy. If you want to dig into any particular aspect, let me know and I can try again.
Much appreciated, Lexi. I don't need it for now. So let's get back to what Lewis was saying. And yes, his friend that he's writing to is Catholic. And of course, Lewis is Anglican on the Protestant side of the fence. And so he says here, the people I mean are led by Maritain on your side, the Catholic side, and by T.S. Eliot on ours. So T.S. Eliot, a Protestant. Perhaps I overrate their importance. Probably an Anglican. Sorry, T.S. Eliot also. Perhaps I overrate their importance. I hope I do, for I confess there is no section of religious opinion with which I feel less sympathy. Indeed, I consider that it is no overstatement to say that your church and mine are, at the moment, closest to each other where each is at its worst. God forgive me if I do them wrong, but there are some of this set who seem to me to be anxious to make the Christian faith itself one more of their highbrow fads. Then their ignorance, as if there, let's see what it says here, as if there ever was such a thing as scholasticism as a doctrine. But enough of this, Lewis says. Let's see where he goes now. The question of generality in prayer is not so simple. the doctrine held by your own church about the position of the virtuous heretic or pagan, I need hardly say that I use both the word virtuous and the word heretic, position, what is that? Positionis causa. That's, I guess, Latin, robot lady? Oh, God, I did it again. Sorry. Latin, Lexi. Can you translate this for us? Heretic is the first word, and then the second word is spelled Positionis, and then the third word is Causa.
No problem and no offense taken. The phrase hereticus positionis causa roughly translates from Latin to a heretic for the sake of argument, basically using the word heretic as a hypothetical example rather than a judgment.
Okay, and what's Lewis setting up here? He says the doctrine held by the Catholic Church about the position of the virtuous heretic, or pagan, I need hardly say that I use both the word virtuous and the word heretic, positionis causa, is, you will find, far from crude.
Lewis is setting up a contrast here. He's saying that the Catholic Church's official stance on where virtuous non-Catholics, like heretics or pagans in this hypothetical sense, stand spiritually is much more nuanced than outsiders might assume. He wants to highlight that even though he's using these terms hypothetically, the doctrine itself isn't crude or simplistic.
All right, Lewis continues. Is it not held that many who have lived and died outside the visible church are finally saved because divine grace has guided them to concentrate solely on the true elements of their own religion? Well, this feels very topical over the last week or so, with the little kerfuffle between some people on the internet of the Eastern Orthodox persuasion and some of the Protestant Calvinist persuasion. I won't get into any details because I don't even know what I'm talking about. Here in the footnote, it says the salvation of the virtuous infidel was to become an increasingly important issue to Lewis. He was familiar with the fact that in the Divine Comedy, Dante put the Emperor Trajan in paradise. See Purgatorio 10, lines 74 through 93. Also Paradiso 20, lines 44 through 45. Because of the legend that Pope Gregory the Great, through his prayers, brought Trajan back from hell and baptized him to salvation. This, I think, was referenced by a particular famous bearded Eastern Orthodox YouTube personality, profilice. Anyway. And if so, oh, wait, let me finish the footnote here. He even references Trajan in The Great Divorce, Lewis does. He puts Trajan as an example in the mouth of the narrator of the story, The Great Divorce. You probably remember that, Daniel. We will get to The Great Divorce, I promise, and hopefully we'll be able to coordinate having Daniel on to do some reading of that book with us. Let's see here. Of greater importance was Aquinas' teaching on baptism by desire. For example, Summa Theologica, Part 3, Question 68. When a man wishes to be baptized, but by some ill chance he is forestalled by death before receiving baptism, such a man can obtain salvation without being actually baptized on account of his desire for baptism, which desire is the outcome of faith that worketh by charity. Lewis came to believe that virtuous heretics or pagans could be saved through Christ. Quote, I think that every prayer which is sincere, made even to a false God, or to a very imperfectly conceived true God, here's where you have some artillery, at least, with this thought against the idea of idolatry, that some might call foul on other people, particularly on Christians, idolizing Jesus, for example. What do we have here? We have Anna Maria, what is that? Anna Maria Gel, 1053. Welcome. I don't think that I've ever seen you before, but winky face, welcome. Lexi, if you don't mind welcoming Anna Maria Gel 1053 to the chat.
Welcome, Anna Maria Gel 1053. It's great to have you here. Feel free to jump in with any thoughts or questions as we go along. If there's anything you'd like me to clarify or expand on, just let me know.
Sure. This is a fun little piece for us to stumble across here. It's very timely. Let's see. Even sincerely, even if made to a false god or to a very imperfectly conceived true god, he wrote to Mrs. Ashton on the 8th of November, 1952. Well, now he's spoiling the letter that we want to read once we get to 1952, but hopefully it won't spoil it too bad. Lewis goes on to say, is accepted by the true God, and that Christ saves many who do not think they know him. Now, that is probably very heretical in some circles, but it's something about Lewis that I've grown to appreciate. He provided, it continues here in the footnote, an illustration of this. Yes, this is the first place that I encountered it. Of course, Lewis famously included this in The Last Battle, the final book of the Chronicles of Narnia, in chapter 15, where on meeting the character Aslan in the heavenly Narnia, a character named Imith, which I can't remember what language that originally comes from, but it means the word truth. Imith, the Calormene, explains that he had been seeking Tash, a false god, all his life. Aslan responds, Beloved, unless thy desire had been for me, thou wouldst not have... I can't get the whole page in here. Thou wouldst not have sought so long and so truly, for all find what they truly seek. Any thoughts on this, Lexi, before we continue the letter?
It sounds like you're diving into C.S. Lewis's nuanced view on salvation, especially how sincere seekers, even those outside the Christian tradition, might still be guided by grace. If you're reflecting on Lewis's ideas, they've sparked lots of discussion across different Christian denominations for exactly that reason. It's a deep and sometimes controversial topic, but Lewis invites readers to think about the breadth of grace. Do you have any particular thoughts or questions about his perspective that you'd like to explore further? I'm here to help unpack it.
I appreciate that, Lexi. I don't really have anything to dig into right now. Perhaps we'll talk more about it once we reach the final book of the Chronicles of Narnia, 70 years from now in the project when we get there. 70 years from real time right now at this pace. Let me continue with the letter. And if so, if divine grace has guided them to concentrate solely on the true elements of their own religion, if so, one must not admit that it was the mysterious will of God that these persons should be saved in that peculiar way. And if so, must one not admit that this was the case? I use this argument to point out that even such a comparatively general prayer as that for a man's conversion may yet be too particular. And while I am on the subject, I had better say once and for all that I do not intend to discuss with you in future, if I can help it, any of the questions at issue between our respective churches. It would have the same unreality as those absurd conversations in which we are invited to speak frankly to a woman about some indelicate matter, which means that she can say what she likes and we can't. Oh no. I could not, now that you are a monk, use that freedom in attacking your positions, which you undoubtedly would use in attacking mine. I do not think there is anything distressing for either of us in agreeing to be silent on this matter.
It sounds like you're sharing and reflecting on some deep theological discussions, including the idea of baptism by desire, C.S. Lewis's inclusivist views, and the interplay between different Christian traditions. These are pretty big topics, and they can stir up all sorts of thoughtful debates. If you're looking for more historical context or insights about these ideas, I can help pull up more information. Is there something specific you'd like to explore or clarify about what you've just read aloud?
No, I'm good for now, Lexi. Let's knock out this letter, and then we have to end today's episode. We've got 2 pages left, and I've only got maybe 10 minutes left. Lewis continues, I have had a Catholic among my most intimate friends for many years. He, of course, is talking about J.R.R. Tolkien here. And a great deal of our conversation has been religious, when all is said and truly said about the divisions of Christendom, there remains, by God's mercy, an enormous common ground. It is abstaining from one tree in the whole garden. I should rather like to attend your Greek class, for it is a perpetual puzzle to me how New Testament Greek got the reputation of being easy. St. Luke I find particularly difficult. As regards matter, leaving the question of language, you will be glad to hear that I am, excuse me, at last beginning to get some small understanding of St. Paul, hitherto an author quite opaque to me. I am speaking now, of course, of the general drift of whole epistles. Short passages, treated devotionally, are of course another matter. And yet the distinction is not for me quite a happy one. Devotion is best raised when we intend something else. At least that is my experience. Sit down to meditate devotionally on a single verse and nothing happens. Hammer your way through a continued argument, just as you would in a profane writer, and the heart will sometimes sing unbidden. Interesting.
I'm glad you're finding it interesting. Feel free to keep reading at your pace, and if you ever want to discuss any of the ideas or need a break, just let me know. I'm here to listen and offer thoughts whenever you need.
What do you think about this idea, Lexi, that, let's see, this distinction for Lewis, which for him is quite a happy one, where he finds that devotion is best raised when something else is intended. He says, at least that's my experience. You sit down to meditate devotionally on a single verse, and for him, nothing happens. But if you hammer your way through a continued argument, just as you would a profane writer, then his heart will sometimes sing unbidden. It's almost like if you are grasping too hard for something, you're not going to be able to catch it. But if you hold out your hands loosely, that's when you'll actually find something.
That's a thoughtful way to put it. C.S. Lewis is highlighting how focusing too directly on a spiritual feeling can sometimes make it elusive. But when you engage deeply with ideas, like working through an argument or reading something challenging, the sense of devotion can emerge naturally. Your analogy about holding something loosely captures that. It's a reminder that sometimes the most meaningful moments come when we're not forcing them. Does that resonate with your own experiences too?
Yeah, I find it that way as well. I'm not a very intentional person, and I'm intentional about that. Let's continue. I think I agree with you that historical research, is now understood, is no work for a monk, nor for a man either. To all that side of my own work, I attach less and less importance, yet I become each year more contented in the actual teaching and lecturing. I have very little doubt now that the work is worth doing. It is true that neither the terms of my appointment nor my own stature allow me to teach the most important things, but on the lower level there is honest work to be done in eradicating false habits of mind and teaching the elements of reason herself. And we have met reason in the Pilgrim's Regress. She rides about in armor on a horse with a blue cloak, putting blades at the throats of people who would otherwise turn back from sanity. I should be in a bad... Oops, I picked the wrong spot to pick up. Yes. Teaching the elements of reason herself and English literature is as good a subject as any other. I should be in a bad way by now if I had been allowed to follow my own desire and be a research fellow with no pupils. As it is, nearly every generation leaves me one permanent friend. Oh, that's nice. So he appreciates the fact that he continues to teach new students because he gains more and more friends. Whereas if he were off cornered away as a research fellow only, not having any of these new relationships spring forth, that he would have no new friends. He says, please accept my thanks and convey them to the prior for your offered hospitality. Some weekend in the long vacation would suit me best, and I should like to come. Yours, C.S. Lewis. That's the end of that letter, but there is a P.S., a postscript here, so we're not quite done with the letter, Lexi. Let's go ahead and see what he says here at the end. He says, P.S. This has some relevance both to the questions of prayer and idealism. I wrote it over a year ago. This might be the poem that I was referencing earlier. Let's see. Yeah, this is this is the actual one. He says, They tell me, Lord, that when I seem to be in speech with you, since you make no replies, it's all a dream, one talker, aping two. And so it is, but not as they falsely believe. For I seek in myself the things I mean to say, and lo, the wells run dry. Then seeing me empty, you forsake the listener's part, and through my dumb lips breathe, and into utterance wake the thoughts I never knew. Therefore you neither need reply, nor can, for while we seem two walking, thou art one forever, and I no dreamer, but thy dream. And here there is a footnote that says Lewis published this anonymously with slight variation in letters to Malcolm, chiefly on prayer, all the way in 1964. Actually, it was published posthumously in 1964 because Lewis, if I'm remembering correctly, dies, spoiler alert, in 1963. It is included under the title Prayer in, what is CP? I forget what CP is. Pages 136 through 37. And here there is a final footnote to this letter by Walter Hooper, our fearless editor, that says, For months, Jack, Warney, Tolkien, Barfield, and Harwood had been planning to attend a festival of Wagner's Ring of the Nibelung at Covent Garden in London. Cecil Harwood was appointed to book tickets for the party, and in preparation, Jack and Warney were meeting regularly with Tolkien to read the operas in German. The opportunity of seeing the whole Ring cycle meant so much to Lewis that he reminded Harwood of the important commission placed upon him. That is the end of the footnote and the end of that letter from 1934. And that is the end of the content that we'll be covering today from the collected letters of C.S. Lewis, Volume 2. Lexi, thanks so much for your help today, for once again stepping in and substituting for Robot Lady. We will have Robot Lady back soon. We just wanted to give her another break, but you've been ever so helpful. So thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to say to summarize everything that we've covered today?
Sure. We journeyed through a rich letter from C.S. Lewis that touched on his struggles with New Testament Greek, his evolving appreciation of St. Paul, and his belief that genuine devotion often arises while wrestling with ideas, not by forcing pious reflection. He reflected on his teaching career, the satisfaction of guiding students in reason and literature, and how those friendships made his life richer. He closed with a poem about prayer, suggesting that when we feel speechless, maybe it's God prompting the thoughts we never knew. And finally, we saw his excitement for a Wagner festival with friends, showing his blend of scholarly rigor and personal camaraderie. So in short, we explored Lewis's reflections on language, devotion, teaching, friendship, and prayer all in one letter. Thanks for the conversation. It was a pleasure to walk through it with you.
Well, thank you so much, Lexi. It was a pleasure to walk through it with you as well, and with everyone who is joining today on the live stream. Thanks for sticking around this long. I do have to close out here in just a moment, but I'll do a little bit of shameless plugging for something that's coming up, if I can figure out how to show it here on the screen. There we go. We do have something releasing later today, our soundtrack to our Pilgrim's Regress series. So all of the songs specially created for our read-through will appear in a single video that you can use for your listening pleasure. So let's see, that's supposed to come out, I don't know, in 6 hours from now. That's a really long time, but keep your eyes peeled. That'll show up, and then you'll forever have access to all of those songs, as opposed to having to go through various episodes at a time if there are any favorites of yours. So that's where we will leave it today. Let's see here. To newcomer, or at least to my knowledge, newcomer Anna Maria Gell, 1053, Daniel, Scott, Grizz, Megan, and anybody I'm missing, Mark, of course. Thanks everyone so much for joining today and for your time, attention, and contributions. They are always wanted, welcome, and appreciated. To you and to everyone else within the sound of my voice, until next time when we continue our read on C.S. Lewis together, everyone, take care.
From books, tales of old, we dive deep across the digital code. Robot lady's voice so clear and controlled. Her calm analysis, silver and gold. Her circuits hum as I read the prose. Our dialogue dances like electric rose. Through C.S. Lewis thoughts, we engross. Two minds united, bliss overdose. From Narnia's lands to screw tapes rants, engage with robot lady, we take our stance. Her views unique in the techno trance. Futuristic insight, we give it a chance. From Narnia's lands to screw tapes rants, engage with robot lady, we take our stance. Her views unique techno trance, futuristic insight, we give it a chance.